All right, welcome back to the season podcast. Nick, a special edition today. As we told you when we kicked this thing off, we are going to have some awesome guests over the course of the year. We promised everybody that, and we're following through on that promise today. Our first episode, bonus episode, with a very special guest. This guest needs really for Philly fans and NFL fans, I don't think really needs any introduction. I could just say his name and everyone know who he is and be super excited to hear what he has to say. But I'm going to give him the introduction that I think he's due. This guy was drafted in 2007 by the Philadelphia Eagles, played his entire career till 2017, won a Super Bowl, then called it a career. So 2007 to 2017 with the Eagles the entire time. He's got 398 career receptions. He's got just under 5,000 career receiving yards. 5,000. That's second all time in the Philly organization as far as tight ends go. 31 touchdowns. He's got a Super Bowl ring from Super Bowl 52 with Big Picnic here. Big Picnic. We'll get to that later. Well, hopefully he saw that. We'll explain it to him.
He likes it.
Now he was like my era too. We played like at the same time. We came out of college at the same time. And really like epitomizes the tight end position. A true wide tight end, 3-down tight end, does everything really well. Total stud. We are thrilled to welcome to our show for the first time, Brent Celek.
What a great introduction. Thank you, guys.
What's up, Brent? How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Living the life. I got 4 kids now, so chasing them around and trying to make it work in the business
Now, it
world.
sounds like you are – now, we'll get to football in a sec, but it sounds like you have – because I remember when I met you when I was playing and I was in Philly briefly, you had a lot of different business interests. You had started Prime Stash there in Philly, a restaurant. Mm-hmm. Now, sounds like you're into real estate, smashing deals in the Philly area. How are you spending most of your time these days?
Yeah, so, when I was playing, I knew I wanted to do things outside of football. And one of those things being the restaurant business. Nick knows this very well because of his dad. But I started a restaurant, and it taught me a lot about business in general. And long story short, I signed a bad lease when I went in there. And I think that was what really led to a lot of stress in running the business, because it was always like, man, I always got to make this no payment every month, this lease payment. And so, and honestly, I didn't have a very good landlord. And so it pushed me kind of to want to be on the other side of the table. I want to be the landlord. I want to be in that position. I don't like sitting in this other position, having to run a business, stressing out every single month. So I got into investing in real estate and then slowly doing some development stuff. And, it's evolved. The thing I love about real estate is, you can make money many different ways. And so you got to find things inside of it that, spark your interest, things that you love. And over time, I think I've been refining that. So I'm doing that. I'm a head coach for a flag football team. It's first and second graders. And so it's basically babysitting
boys or girls?
Right now. And,
boys or girls?
But boys. My daughter does play on the team, and my older daughter actually plays flag too, but mostly boys. But I do think it's a great sport for girls. I try to push my girls to do it. It's just there's not a lot of girls in their league right now, but it's a perfect sport for them. And so I'm doing that. Actually, my first practice is tonight, and so we're on the quest for the Super Bowl. And then, I work with the Eagles in a small-time capacity and kind of help them on the scouting side, and then also mentor some of the young players.
You should set up a non-conference game with Nick has a first and second grade flag football team with girls.
Yep. We
should set up a non-con game and maybe meet in a neutral site and have you guys match up. What do you think?
Just a big stadium, free ticket.
That's a great idea. Me in Kansas City.
Well, what's y'all's team name?
Yeah, we're the Eagles. So the commissioner is like, yo, you deserve it, Brent. You're the Eagles every
same
year.
Thing happened with me. They're like, do you want to be the Eagles? I'm like, yes, I'll take the Eagles. So it'll be Eagles versus Eagles matchup. I love it. It's fun, though. Like you said,
it's fun.
It's crazy. I think just getting everyone lined up. And we had a practice the other day. Evan's daughter, Chandler, my niece, and Lily play together on the Eagles. So Evan's coaching with me this year, and he got his first experience of our practice the other day, and it's really just getting the girls lined up and locked in. And this will be our third season playing together, so they're getting better. The first year, it was crazy trying to get them lined up. I mean, there were so many cartwheels and all these different things and dance moves because I was playing music. So I feel you, dude. I feel you.
Yeah, I've been thinking today I might have a more of a grown-up speech
Yeah.
with these kids. This is their third season with me. Hey, guys, it's time to start listening a little bit better now. Otherwise, there's something called sprints,
Yes.
and we're going to start running
Yes.
sprints. It's just like a fine line. It is so hard to go from the top of the top and then literally go to coaching first grade
Patience.
flag football. Like I had to go on YouTube and Google, like basically figure out what are some
Yeah.
good drills for these guys. I don't even know where to
Yeah,
start with them.
I agree. It's using AI for that. I mean, I have my first soccer practice today with Duke, my 5-year-old, and Evan's done a really nice job coaching his girls in soccer throughout the years and takes a lot of pride in it. But this is my first time with Duke today, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous about coaching soccer for 5-year-old boys. I have no clue where to start. So after this episode, I'll be talking to Ev about what do I do.
Just dribble and score, baby.
Yeah.
Just dribble and score. Find a way to get it done. Learn how to pass, too. Brent, you hit on briefly there your engagement with the Eagles still. Now, I'd imagine a lot of Philly fans know that you're close. Like I was at Nick's press conference last year in September where he was retiring as an Eagle, and I'm looking around the room to check out the media that's there, and sure enough, there's Brent Celek. In the room, obviously there to support Nick, but it was obvious too that you're still engaged with the Eagles. You mentioned this kind of consultant role you have. Tell us a little bit more about that role and what it involves and what level of engagement you currently have with the team.
Yeah, I would say first of all, I'm like so grateful that they kind of created this role for me where I can still be a dad, I can still go do some real estate deals, but also still stay around the team and hopefully provide some value to them. The first couple years I did it. I was spending a lot of time with the tight ends. I think just naturally, it makes sense. But, over the last couple years, I've been trying to push myself into other directions. I've never spent time on the defensive side of the ball. So, I asked Coach Fangio and the defensive staff if it's okay for me to kind of hang out with them a little bit more, see if I can provide any type of value to them, thinking about it from the other side of the ball. And then also for me learning, I think we as offensive players, Nick probably knows better than us, but I think we know high level defensive concepts and coverages and stuff. But really sitting in the meetings and listening to the nuances of it has really opened up my mind to, hey, down the road I want to ever be an offensive coordinator. I can see the things that put stress on defense, and so that's been a lot of fun for me. The safeties coach Joe Casper has been super welcoming to me, and so I'll go down there once a week, and maybe twice sometimes if they need help with something, and basically mentor some of the young guys, and then in the off season, they'll pick some guys that they want me to scout, and I give them my opinion on some of those guys. So it's a great role. I'm so grateful for it. And, the organization has really taken care of me from that standpoint and allowed me to kind of do some other things that are important to me. And
You sound like a guy, correct me if I'm wrong, but you sound like a guy, like you mentioned you have 4 kids, that is in sort of the throes of being a father at this point, right? And you're focused on your kids and work and all that. But down the road, when you free up and maybe the kids are a little older, you sound like a guy that could cross over into coaching. That's what I hear. Am I wrong, or is that possible?
I think he's hinting at it.
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong at all. I will say I'm doing bigger and bigger real estate deals, and I do have a lot of joy in that. But there's nothing like truly helping 100%. Young kids learn the game of football, learn what it's like to be on a team. You guys know better than anybody, there's nothing like being in that locker room and the camaraderie with the guys and, sweating, bleeding with the guys next to you. So I don't think you can find that anywhere else. I would love for somebody to tell me about that, but football is, to me, the greatest sport of all time. And so I think eventually I'll be led back down that path where it goes.
No, I think you'll be great at it. And I agree with you. Evan and I talk all the time. I mean, there's a lot about football that's tough where you look back and you don't really miss, but there is those key moments of the camaraderie, the locker room, the games, and whatnot that you can't replace once you leave the game. You're grateful for the time you had. I think you'd be a great coach, and I think it's really smart of you to go to the defensive side and learn what they do without giving out specifics and what scheme and stuff, but you've practiced on the offensive side of the ball your whole career. what do you see different on defense with the way they practice and everything? Because, when we get in the huddle, it's like personnel, the play. It could be 2 or 3 plays within the huddle. Defense obviously has their checks and what they're looking for personnel-wise and formation. But, like, what do you see that's, like, sort of surprised you about learning that defensive schematic, like how they practice?
Yeah. I think obviously the offense kind of dictates how the defense is going to line up in some things. And so, like, sitting on that side of the ball, you see, how the offense comes out really determines how they're going to play things. But I think the one thing that was really surprising to me is they got to communicate a lot, like a lot. And so, I heard one coach say a noisy defense is a good defense. Like, you really got to communicate. And so I can't imagine being in the link playing on defense when that stadium is super loud, having to find ways to communicate with your guys. But I would say, that's one of the biggest things. But it's really interesting just learning all the nuances. It's totally different than offense in some ways, but also everybody has a job to do, just like offense. And, a lot of people say, players that play defense aren't that smart. That is not the case. You have to be very smart to play defense.
That's the thing about football players I think people don't realize. And when people ask me about football and my career and plays and this and that and the other, I always tell them, we're more than just running out there like gladiators and doing all those things. The amount of cognitive focus and intelligence it takes to be a good football player at the highest level. I'm not just saying lower level. I'm saying at the highest level to be an elite player, you not only have to be physically gifted, but you have to be cognitively quick and smart and just being able to react. I remember one time I was sharing with my dad, like the playbook before I went to the hotel in Philly because he was just curious. And I like put it in his lap. The thing weighs like 10 pounds. And I'm showing him like real quick the game plan and what we have to do. And like, hey, this is what we're probably going to open with. This is what I'm looking for. Boom, boom, boom. And he just sat there. And this is my dad in awe of what we had to, do. So, and it's quick. It's not like you have 30 minutes to decipher this. Like you said on defense, they're breaking the huddle. They got to find out where everyone is lined up. Then the reason teams like Shanahan's teams with the 49ers and all his coaches, they do motions and all the jet motions is with motions that can jack up a defense based on what they're doing. That's why you see all these motions and everything is it gets everyone out of sorts. They don't have their gaps correct, and that's what opens up these running lanes or helps in protection. And I just think the normal football fan doesn't realize that. There's so much that goes into this that's so complex. And honestly, if we dove into any more detail, they probably wouldn't want to listen to it because they couldn't comprehend it.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, and Brent, I often joke with Nick too that, as far as hearing you two go back and forth, there may not be, other than quarterback, I don't think there's a position on the field beyond tight end that knows more about what every position is doing. Because on offense, tight end's involved in pass protection, route running. Literally every facet of the offense. So you're understanding all levels of the defense, much like the quarterback would be doing. So when you hear a quarterback and a tight end go back and forth, I think it's pretty clear that there's no two positions on the field, offense and defense, that have a better understanding of the entire picture. I want to just step back. Really quick though, and mention the connection between you two. So you got to Philly in 2007. Nick didn't arrive till 2012. You guys obviously won a Super Bowl together. Had a lot of good success together. So that connection's obvious. But it goes back even further than that because Nick, before Arizona, started his career at Michigan State. And for those of you that don't know, I realize all the Philly fans know this, but for those of you that don't know, Brent has a younger brother, Garrett, who played in the NFL from 2012 to 2019, all for the Niners, I believe, right, Brent? I think it was all for the Niners.
Yep.
And Garrett and Nick were good buddies at Michigan State. So there's like two, if I just reduce it down, there's like two categories of good buddies. There's like, hey, we're boys, right? Like, hey, we've been buddies for a long time. We're boys, and like everyone knows what that means. Nick and Garrett, though, whole new level of being boys. So I remember I was discussing this with Nick like a few years ago, and I'm like, oh, so you're like buddies with Garrett? He goes, oh yeah, we're like boys. We were friends at Michigan State. And I said, oh, okay. He goes, dude, in fact, man, like we like actually like got a tattoo together, and like we each got the same matching tattoos. I'm like, I'm sorry. What did you just say? He's like, we got matching tattoos. Yeah.
They have no clue.
They have no idea what it says. But for two dudes to roll over and get it, I don't even know if Philly fans were aware of this.
No,
if you weren't, not. Here you go. I mean, Nick was probably embarrassed about this. Or probably get kicked on. Oh, he just kicked me under the table. Nick and Garrett, Brent's younger brother, which was the connection before Brent, these dudes went and got matching tattoos together. So we might have to have Garrett on the show at some point to talk about this abomination.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get matching tattoos. We did go with Chinese symbols. Mine means family and home, and his means like power or something. I forget.
He got the yin, you got the yang.
Yeah,
basically.
something like that. But I remember it was a winter in East Lansing, and we were just like, dude, let's go get a tattoo. I'm like, all right, let's do it. It's like snowstorming out. We found a place. We did it, and yeah, I mean, it was my.
Some guys might do it with their wife. Some guys might, but Nick does it with Garrett.
Hey,
like
you know what? I love Garrett. He's my roommate, my freshman year. That was the hardest part about leaving East Lansing was leaving Garrett. Honestly, like just because we were so tight.
That doesn't surprise me.
And yeah, it just now my train of thought's all jacked up.
You might have to give him on.
You know where it started though.
I've had all the stories, man.
Where the bond started was my first day on campus. I committed late because I had a shoulder reconstruction, so I had 9 acres put in my shoulder. And I was released to start running like right before I joined the summer training at Michigan State. So I get there, I do my physical, and I haven't really started running yet. Like I just started jogging, and I was about to ramp up to sprinting. And they're like, hey, the team's out there doing their half gasser test if you want to go out there and do it. And in my mind, I'm a freshman, and I knew I wasn't ready, but you're a freshman, so you're not going to say no. So you're like, I'm going to go out there. And I didn't know it at the time, but I'm running right next to Garrett, who's a beast, right? Garrett's a beast. Probably the best tight end in the family. No, I'm just kidding, Brent. You're awesome. I love you. But I'm dying because it's like 20 half gassers under a certain time, and like I haven't built up because I'm literally still rehabbing my shoulder. And he was the guy next to me that like picked me up and kept me going when my heart felt like it was going to explode in my chest. And from then on out, like that was my boy. We ended up being roommates and going through the year with our suite mates who were, a D end and O lineman that smelled up the bathroom. So we were always fighting back and forth with them. But we went through a lot of bonding that year, and ultimately ended up
when did the connection get so strong that it was like, hey, let's go get tattoos together?
I honestly think our brains probably froze in East Lansing during the winter, and it was dark and gloomy, and we just were being freshmen and trying to figure out life. I'm like, dude, let's go get a tattoo.
Hey, to each their own, right?
Yeah. So,
and like tattoos weren't a big thing in my family. Like there's nobody in my family that has tattoos. So, but yeah, my brother comes home and I'm like, dude, what's on the inside of your arm? He's like, oh, I got this sick tattoo with this guy, Nick Foles. And I was like, dude, Nick Foles sounds like a dork. I was like, what does that even say? I was like, it's Chinese letter. Did you even look that up? He's like, nah, man, nah. It's definitely real. Like I know what it says.
Oh, that's so good.
He still hasn't looked it up.
Hey, man, I think
I'm sure.
Hey, there's just something about it.
Put that in ChatGPT, dude. It'll tell you really what it says.
What language is it in? Is it Chinese lettering?
I think it should be Chinese letters. It should say, hey, man, you do things when you're younger, and I've had people even say, are you going to get taken off? I'm like, no, like it was a special part of my life.
Show the camera.
I don't want to show the camera because everyone will zoom in on it and then they'll really check it. But now people know I have a left arm tattoo.
Okay.
But fun fact, that year, so Brent is drafted. Garrett's my roommate. Growing up in Texas, I watched NFL sports and stuff like that. In Austin, Longhorns were the big team, but I love players in the NFL. So like my favorite was like the Broncos with John Elway that time. But my first Eagles apparel, and you know this, I bought was because of Brent Celek. He gets drafted. Garrett's my roommate. I go out and I buy a Philadelphia Eagles, at the time Reebok, like dry fit shirt that I had for even when I got drafted by the Eagles, I still had the shirt. I might be at my parents' house now, but just want to say Brent sort of planted the initial seed of that Philadelphia Eagles line. And then when I got drafted, I think you were the first guy I like wanted to like come say hi to while you were wearing your long capris during that capri. Remember that capri era?
Dude, let's not bring that up. That was a bad time in my life.
So
it was I look back at some pictures in my phone, and I'm
you know what though? That's
okay.
what
I thought they were so cool.
Hey,
that's how long you played though, through multiple eras. Man.
Dude, he went through so many eras. I'm not gonna put it on here, and we're not gonna add it to a reel, but because I love you so much. But I have this video, and you know I have it, of you dancing in the Tubbs room, just like in your capris, just like jamming to some song by yourself. Back in like 2013, 14, something like that. But that's why I loved you. You wore what you wanted to wear, and you did your thing.
I got a brief.
Yeah. It was stupid though.
I got a brief feel for it in 2012 when I went to play for the Eagles towards the end of the season. I was tight end and got to share tight end with Brent just for a few weeks. And the first week I was there, this was like, I don't know, week 6, or there were 16 games at that time. So it was like week 15. And on Thursday for practice, for meetings, I should say, he was wearing, I remember this like vividly. It was like, it made me laugh because I was familiar with all of Brent's success before I'd even gotten there. And he's wearing like a pair of jeans, a t-shirt, and like a down vest on Thursday. And then we practice and he puts that back on. Then Friday morning, he comes back in wearing the exact same thing. And I'm like, dude, is this like a normal thing? Like, do you normally just wear this? Or is there, like, you didn't change or anything? He goes, no, dude. He goes, yesterday, did Thirsty Thursdays. And, that's just, it says, he's like, dude. I can't say I made it home. And here I am. So for a guy like to go from, look, a 5th round pick to play from 2007 to 2017 with the same team, get re-up multiple times, be one of the greatest tight ends in franchise history, yet approach the game like that, I was jealous. I was jealous of how much fun you were having doing it because I was like stressed out of my mind trying to make sense of all of it. And here this guy is being like, you want to go to Thirsty Thursdays next week? I'm like,
no.
Hey,
you wear the same clothes on Friday as you wore on Thursday.
It's strategic.
There was.
Yeah, that was what's crazy. What's crazy is like that back then it was kind of the norm. Like, everyone kind of did it. And now, that's not the case in the NFL. Like, these guys are so much smarter. I'm not doing all that crazy stuff that we were doing. I think COVID changed a lot of that too, because a lot of people stopped going out during COVID. But I look back at some of those times and I was like, man, some of that was stupid.
It worked, dude.
Sure.
It worked. I mean, look at I went through your resume. We went through all the things you've done, and like, I mean, I guess let's put this a different way. So when you were playing throughout your entire career as an Eagle, and multiple eras of the Eagles, right? I mean, Brent was playing when Donovan McNabb was still the quarterback, right? McNabb was there for like 09.
That was your primary quarterback
McNabb,
for a long time.
Kevin Cobb, Michael Vick, Nick Foles, Carson Wentz. I mean, go through all those guys. He was, and I'm going to ask him about playing with all these guys in a second, but going through all those eras and all the success that you had and finishing it off with a Super Bowl, do you recall, like, as you were going through your career, like, were you just flying by the seat of your pants, or was there a way you wanted to be remembered by the type of player that you were? Because I know the way we see you now and what your career was for as long as it was, but were you ever thinking, if so, how, about how you wanted to be remembered and what kind of player you wanted to be remembered as when you were done?
Yeah, somebody said something to me when I was young that resonated with me is like, the best ability is availability. And, in this city, you have to be very tough.
That's good.
And players don't really care what you say; they care what you do. And so, I think you gotta put in the work, right? I think that's the biggest thing. And then, I always had hoped, man, if I'm lucky enough, I could play my whole career in Philly. That's very hard to do because there's just so many different dynamics, so many different things can happen. You got to get a little bit lucky. I think I got lucky. But I think I just try to attack every day and give it all I had. Any of those days where I didn't practice, I had this just horrible feeling in my stomach, like I'm not getting better. I'm not out there with my boys. And so I would say that was the goal, was just work really hard, get better every single day, and be an unbelievable teammate to the guys around me. And so that was just a daily thing. And then, I always felt I'll be able to look back on it and kind of analyze what I did right, what I did wrong, and then use that to help the younger generation. But looking back on it, I was so lucky to be here my entire career and to be able to finish it out with a Super Bowl win. Even because that's the last year I ever played, like I remember everything so much more vivid. I remember Nick coming in, and I remember the doubts that people had for our team because Nick was now our quarterback, and then the last 2 weeks of the season not going so well, and then us being underdogs, and just the confidence of Nick in that moment, in the most important moment in Philadelphia Eagles history. It was just, I can't forget it. It's unbelievable. And then for us to go do it was super special. And I think, and I love Nick.
No, and I think the biggest thing for me, we got to talk a little bit about the history of you and I, and your brother Garrett, and having the opportunity to be drafted there and be your teammate meant a lot to me because of Garrett. I didn't know you at that point. I was one of your fans. Like, you were one of the guys that I watched in the NFL throughout my career in college at Arizona, and then being able to be your teammate and watch you handle yourself day in, day out of what a true Eagle is, right? You played your whole career there, and everything you said you fulfilled. And even though there was things you probably wish, oh man, I wish I had done, man, that's what made you. And I know every day when you were on the practice field with us, or you were there, the team felt more whole. It felt more real. And, I was talking to Ev about this. It was like, man, there'd be like one day a week where at the end of his career, your last year, where you'd be flying around like a 23-year-old Brent Celek. And I'd be like, what anti-inflammatory did you take today? And you'd know. And then the next day you'd be like, because you would go so freaking hard because you
pill?
knew.
Was it the pink pill?
It might have been the pink pill.
Was it one of those? Yeah.
Pink pill,
but like
pink
you
pills.
would go so hard and be flying around because, you were elite pass catching tight end. And then at the end of your career, dude, you took so many hits. You were blocking all these things. But you brought it each and every day and meant so much. You tutored, the young tight ends and Zach Ertz and Trey Burton. Like, you were a big reason of their success because that you got to model it for them of what it meant to be a teammate, an Eagle, your work ethic, how you handle yourself. So I just want to say, like, winning a Super Bowl with you and getting an opportunity to do that is something that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And it was so much fun playing with you. And it's cool now that, we're in this different season of life with being, fathers, you're doing real estate deals. And, I see you coaching in the future at the right time when it's right for your family. And you're going to be a great coach because of everything you've gone through and everything you've learned. So I'll be your biggest fan then, like I always will be.
It's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Really good.
I appreciate the kind words, bro.
Brent,
Don't make
I'm
me
going to
cry.
start crying.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Brent, I think we both want to ask you a little bit about this year's version of the Eagles. So a couple weeks ago, Nick took some time on our show to break down what he thought was the difference between the challenge of the 17 team repeating in 18. And I know you retired at the end of the 17 season after the 2018 Super Bowl in February. The challenge then that Nick really eloquently talked about, he said, look, like at that time, at least for him, they were going into a season the following year where it was really Carson's offense. And he was sort of a placeholder for the first 3 weeks until Carson came back. And that was challenging for him. And he thought maybe that affected the team. It was just the facts. He wasn't making it a negative. It was just the facts, right? From your point of view, I'm curious to know if you look back on the 17 team and you were so familiar with that team, you were still close to things as they were going into the 18 season, what you perceive to be the challenges of repeating and how those compare to this year's team and repeating. Now, I'm not really asking like the likelihood of repeating, but how does this team this year trying to repeat differ from the team in 17 trying to repeat in 18?
Well, I wasn't on the 18 team because after 17 right. I retired, but I think it's hard every single year to go win it. And I will say that, like, I love the mentality of the team. Like, they're not saying we're defending it. This isn't boxing where you're defending a title. We have a whole new team kind of this year. And like you guys both know, every team that you're on is different from the last year. And it's going to be different next year. And so this year is going to present a bunch of different ups and downs. And really how the team responds to those is how well they're going to do. And so that's why you play this season. That's why I'm so excited to see. But I think, is this team that they have set up and talented? Man, they're very talented, very talented. I think they've done a great job of creating a good roster over the last how many years. We have good young players. We have good veterans that are leaders. And so they're going to have to weather the storm when the storm comes. But I think they've got great leaders on that team. And I think they've got great coaches on that team. And so all you can do is set yourself up to have a good season. And then it just comes down going out and doing it. And, when I look back at our 17 season, there was just like pivotal moments where things happened that really changed the trajectory of the season. And I think in previous years, when those important moments came, we kind of folded a little bit. But in 17, it was like every time we hit any adversity, we just rose. We just got better. We came together more. And so I think you just hope that this year with this team, you have that. If you look at the team last year, after 4 games, people were ready to get rid of the Eagles. They stink. But what that did was that brought these guys closer together, and then you saw the fruits of all of that. So this is why we play football. You play the games, and I can't wait to see them play this year. But I like how they.
No, that being said, I mean, I agree with everything you said about the team and what we see from the leadership standpoint going into this season, and how every year is hard, and how they're just focusing on what's going on right now. Obviously, we've both been a part of the Dallas Cowboys versus Philadelphia Eagles rivalry. I've been asked this a few times, but I just think it's awesome from your perspective. You are a part of so many of those, and the NFC East is, in my opinion, the best conference in the NFL when it comes to rivalries, just because of the attitude of the fans. They bring it. And then there's a extreme dislike of the Cowboys by most everyone, right? I know Evan just watched their documentary, got to see it, all this things about them, all the fluff, the Micah Parsons trades, all this. Having the opportunity to open the season, to show the banner of the new Super Bowl, that'll be the final thing to where like everything is now moving on to this season, this 2025 season. What is this, opening with the Dallas Cowboys, like what emotions do you feel like in this game? I feel like you probably start like myself, like there's just like this extreme dislike for them. Like what is your experience with the Cowboys?
Yeah, I think I have the same feeling. I mean, the fans really hate the Cowboys. And so, we as players take on the persona of the fans. And so naturally, early on in my career, it was like, dude, we got to beat the Cowboys. We got to beat the Cowboys. And then, there were some moments where we beat them in big moments. There were some times where they beat us. I actually felt like I had owned the Cowboys throughout my career, and went back and looked at the stats, and it was not as lopsided as I thought it was. But that's how we think in our own minds. Like we never want to think we lost to the Cowboys. So the fact that they're playing the Cowboys, first game of the season, dropping the banner in front of the Cowboys. The NFL wanted fireworks.
This is a little bit.
This is going to be emotional.
Oh, man, it's going to be huge. It's a lot better like an 18 when we started against the Falcons, right? That's a huge game. We beat them in the divisional round the year before to get to the Super Bowl, but we opened against the Falcons, which is obviously a big-time opponent with the quality of team they have. But to play against the Cowboys, I mean, I just can't wait, to see the fans. I mean, it's going to be insane how loud they are to start the season. I agree with you. The NFL was like, let's start with some fireworks, and they're going to get some fireworks for sure on game day on Thursday.
So a lot of this stuff goes down in Sharpie and it's technology these days, so it like never totally goes away. But Brent, I remember, and like Nick and I were talking about it last night, so I went back and looked it up because I remember it. A comment you made several years ago. I think you were on the local radio station, and I thought this is beautiful because it sort of illustrates the way a guy that played his entire career for Philly feels about his division rival. Somebody, for some reason, I don't know what the reason was at the time, asked you if you would ever finish your career with the Dallas Cowboys. So high-profile player like you obviously is not going to go play for the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? So, like, where are you going to go? Would you ever go to Philly? Or, would you ever go to Dallas? And your comment was something along the lines of, like, hell no, I wouldn't play for them for, like, $10 million a year. And, is that true? Yeah. I don't know. But, like, it illustrates, like, how a guy like you who –
that's definitely a lie, but I was getting my point across.
He's removed from the NFL paychecks now, and he's
like, I'd take that in a heartbeat.
He's like, this is different.
See, I knew for a fact no one would ever pay me $10 million a year at that point in my career, so it was an easy one. It was just a layup. But no, I think that is the case. Like, you couldn't go there just because of my loyalty to the fans. I just couldn't see myself doing it. I'd probably be sitting with the uniform on like, man, what am I doing? Take it off and just be done.
Like that documentary, that's what Emmitt Smith felt like when he was traded to the Cardinals. Right? Like he's like, I put this thing on. I felt like a fraud. Right? It just didn't feel right to go somewhere else.
I played on several different organizations and was grateful for that opportunity, but nothing ever it always felt like I was just a guest. Mm-hmm. Like it never felt home. Even, I was in Chicago for a couple years, and when I put on the midnight green, and it just felt like home. Mm-hmm. And I'm just grateful I have one team in my career that feels like home, and it's a team like the Philadelphia Eagles and a city and a fan base like that. Grateful for all the other ones, grateful for all the experience and teammates, but it never felt like home. It always felt like a guest. But that's the NFL, and that's part of it is as a player, not everyone gets to leave their time in the NFL like you did. where it's like, this is my home. I will be a part of this organization for a long time. I will live in the Philadelphia area. My kids will grow up knowing the Philadelphia Eagles. It means a lot. So, dude, it's always fun just like getting to chat with you about a little ball and about a little life.
Brian, give us a pick for Thursday night.
What do you mean? Like, what do I think?
Who's going to win the game,
Let's
man?
go score. I would imagine you think the Eagles are going to win at home in their opener when they're an 8.5-point favorite against the Cowboys. But how do you think the game goes? Right, Dallas is coming off a 7-10 season. They've got a lot to prove, yet they've got some issues. They've got some injuries up front. They don't have Micah Parsons, right? They've got George Pickens in the fold now. Dak's under a lot of pressure to step up and perform this year. Schottenheimer's the new head coach that everyone's like, why'd you hire him? He's got a lot to prove. And the Eagles are basically trying to stay the course, right? So how do you think this game goes Thursday night?
I think Dallas comes out emotional, and I think they're riding a high initially, and then I think the Eagles consistently run the ball, methodically get the ball down the field, and just start taking over the game later on. If I were to guess a score, I'd say 31-14 Birds.
What do you think, Nick?
I'm gonna save my pick for later, but I like it.
Are you guys both gonna be there at the game
Well,
together?
I'm gonna see you at the DraftKings thing. I just did some DraftKings media, and I just see the name Brent Celek. So I get to spend a lot of time with Brent, which is always going to be a lot of fun.
You guys, but you don't know if you'll be at the game together quite yet.
I think we're doing it at a watch party. We'll be in Philly.
Okay.
We're doing a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
But we'll be around a lot of fans.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll see how tame Brent is. I mean, he's a father of 4 now, so I think he's got a bedtime.
Plus, it's Thursday, so he might be at Thirsty Thursday.
He might be at Thirsty Thursdays.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe parlay
that's
Thirsty
right.
Thursday into the Thursday night game to kick off the NFL season. That'd be a good way to go.
I'm gonna have to bring you some of these hats, our new hats, or you want Philly hats. But I appreciate the dad season.
Get a Thirsty Thursday.
Thirsty Thursday. Eagles fans would love that.
Go Pink Pale and Thirsty Thursday. All right, like we said, this is a bonus episode of the season, our first guest of the season. Brent, we can't thank you enough for making time for this. I know you got a million things going on. You're coaching. You got 4 kids. You're still involved with the Eagles. You're doing real estate deals. To join us here on a Tuesday after Labor Day, we thank you very much for doing this, man. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love you,
Appreciate
man. This
guys.
is awesome. And we'll cut it here.